Hello and welcome to the Empowered Expat Wife podcast. If you moved abroad following your significant other and are looking to create a fulfilled life on your terms there, this is the place to be. I'm your host Camila Quintana and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you and to inspire you to create the kind of life abroad you truly deserve. Hello, lovelies. I hope you're all doing very well wherever you are in the world listening. I'm very happy to be back with you. It feels like ages that I didn't record a solo episode, which it probably hasn't been, but it just feels like it to me. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited about something else that I wanted to share with you, which is that I literally gave birth to a new website. It really did feel like, a whole process of labor. A few weeks back, I accidentally broke my old website. There was something about an update and that didn't work. And anyway, long story short, it just turned out that the website was completely broken. And I thought, okay, this might be a sign that I should change it altogether. And so I did. I really wanted to create this virtual home, so to speak, that better represented who I have become in these past 3 years now of exclusively coaching expat wives. And to really reflect on what I wanted to share with you, I ditched a whole lot of content that I had, a whole lot of pages. It's pretty much a one-page website. Like I comprised everything on the main page. I ditched the language options. For those of you who knew my website before, it was written in 3 languages. Now it's only in English, but I've included welcome videos in English, in German, and in Spanish, which I thought is a much more personal way of connecting anyway. So I would love to know what you think of it. And something that I'm just as excited as about the website is my new freebie. So, visitors to my website, they always received some kind of free gift, a free resource. I have a free resources section. If you didn't know, then please go and check that out. And I created a new one, which I am so happy about. It just feels like, and it felt like as I was recording it, that this is the message I needed to share with you. It's called the 10-minute nurture boost for expat women. And what it's about is basically that one thing, all of us expat women have in common is that we've gone through moments and phases of loneliness, of disconnect to ourselves, disconnect to our partners, disconnect to our host country and host culture and the people around us. That is just a natural part of expat life. And so in these 10 minutes, you actually will get to fill up your nurture bucket. And I'm going to show you how. I've put in some proven exercises that I've been doing with clients for years now. And yes, the feedback that I received so far has been really good. So I sincerely hope that it will speak to you as well, that you will feel, so nurtured, so nourished and confident afterwards, after listening to this. You will get, when you download it, you'll get a video, an audio, and a workbook, because everything we do in written tends to just stick with us a little more. So check out my new website, www.camilaquintana.com. Check out my new freebie, which you will see right there on the main page. I told you it's all really comprised onto one page. And yeah, that's that. That's the announcement of the day. And now let's jump into the episode, which is creating a strong family culture abroad. This is a matter so dear to my heart, and I know it is to you too. Because, as moms abroad, our kids' well-being tends to be one of our biggest concerns. We want to help them transition well. We want to help them make new friends, excel in school or in, the activities that they do. At the same time, we try to kind of compensate for the losses that they've suffered along the way. The grandparents and the extended families that are left behind. The dads that often have very demanding careers and are home quite little. The friends, the homes, the schools they had to say goodbye to, moving abroad or from one destination to the next. We know that we can protect our kids from pain. And of course, there's also a lot of joy to gain. When you move abroad or when you move to a different country, there are so many new experiences, new life skills they get to acquire, new languages they get to learn, and so forth. But I think still many moms feel some additional pressure in their cross-border lifestyle when it comes to their children. And it's only natural. And I believe that, when the surroundings change so much, it becomes even more important to create a strong family culture, a strong sense of rootedness, of safety and support for our third culture children so that they can truly thrive on their international life journeys. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. And I'll share I think there's 7 ways how we can make that possible. So number 1 is actually strengthening the bond to your spouse or your partner, granted that you are in a relationship, because that's really where it starts. Most moms I know, especially those with small children, tend to invest much more in their relationship with the kids than with their partner. And if this is your case too, hey, I totally understand. You probably spend much more time with your children to start with. Alone time with our partner, especially when we have small kids and in times of the pandemic, is very difficult to achieve. I mean, right now, it's like, where would we even possibly go when the restaurants are closed? There's a curfew, you can't travel. There's so many restrictions. So I know that right now it is so hard to get that very necessary alone time with our partners. So listen, I get it. And nevertheless, we need to remember that our kids, they will grow up. They will need us less, and they need to develop into independent, confident, self-sufficient adults whose world will not revolve around their mama, unfortunately, for some. But that's the way it is, and that's the way it's gotta be, right? So investing in your relationship to your significant other is very important. And it can be as simple as asking yourself, am I giving my spouse the same kind of attention and care that I give to my children? I think that's such a powerful question. Am I giving him the benefit of the doubt that he is too trying his best, even if it doesn't seem like it to me or it doesn't seem enough? Can I try to see my spouse through those unconditionally loving lenses through which we look at our children? I mean, our children, they could basically do anything, right? They can throw up over you. They'll wake you up at night several times. They may lie to you when they get older, or they'll slam the door in your face and scream, "I hate you," or something like that. But you'll love them anyway, right? Now, if our partner did those things, it would look a lot different. And I'm not suggesting that as an adult, he doesn't need to take more responsibility for his actions. But I still believe that this question, am I giving my spouse the same kind of love, care, and attention that I'm giving to my children, is legit, and it's helpful. It's helpful to grow aware of your own blind spots. Of course, your partner has some too. Obviously, right? We all do. But I'd still like to encourage you to nevertheless take the first step into a more conscious relationship by asking yourself these questions from time to time. And also, if you want some more practical tips to improve your relationship and to grow closer, because I think closeness is so fundamental, then make sure to go back to episode 16, my unconventional but highly effective relationship advice, and it is. If you'd like some more personalized help and guidance for your relationship, then go ahead and book a free consultation via my lovely new website. Then we can have a chat and see what we can do, because I got a lot more in store for you. All right, so now talking about creating a more conscious relationship, this brings me to creating your strong family culture, point number 2, which is finding your own way, finding your family's own way. Back home, you probably abided by certain standards. There are certain cultural norms and rules that we try to obey. There's the opinion of your parents, of your in-laws, of your girlfriends, of others that can interfere with your own preferred way of doing things. So, moving abroad is actually a wonderful opportunity to reevaluate and even question your values, your priorities, your preferences as a family. And you can do this obviously with your spouse. It's also a great opportunity to stop comparing both your husband and your children to others like you may have done back home, because the people back home, they just seem more comparable to you. And I'm saying back home to all of those who actually have a home base, which I know not everyone has. But when we do live abroad, we are confronted with such a diversity of people that we probably don't fall into this comparison trap so much. Comparison is the thief of joy, right? That's how they say it. So I think it's very, very liberating for all members of the family to stop comparing. And this is also where the space is created in which each and every family member's authentic self can unfold, including your own. So I'd like to encourage you to just take a step back and curiously figure out who your kids really are away from everything. And you might be surprised. And I believe that discovering and accepting our children's and our husbands' unique spirit is really the greatest gift that we can give to them, that we can give to any human being. And needless to say, this will make you feel much more connected to each other, much closer, and able to be much more authentic with each other. So this is a wonderful basis to creating a strong family culture. Now, my next point, definitely one of my favorites, is stories. We all love stories, right? And as a matter of fact, our brains retain stories or information that is packed into a story or into a metaphor much better than just, feeding it cold facts. So stories really are powerful stuff. There are so many different ways in which you can use stories to strengthen your family culture abroad. I remember I did something when we just moved from Vienna to Bilbao 2.5 years ago approximately. Our kids were 2 and 4. So it was a time of bedtime stories, which I personally love to invent and tell. And I came up with this story of an Austrian garbage man called Fitz. At the time, garbage trucks were the real deal for my boys. So I remember just, so many times driving behind the garbage trucks just so that the kids could watch it do its thing and all of that. And as it turned out, the trucks and the containers and the uniforms of the garbage men here in the Basque Country are completely different. So that obviously called their attention, hence the story. So I started telling them this multicultural bedtime story of the Austrian garbage man Fitz, who comes to Bilbao to work as a garbage man here. And of course, it's very confusing for him to just find his way around and to understand the instructions of his local colleague, Markel, which obviously, led to some very funny incidents and misunderstandings and confusions just due to different cultures and customs and languages. Obviously, when you tell these kind of stories, you never want to judge either culture or language. But I think stories like this one, as an example, can really normalize the challenges that are usually related to adapting to a new environment and ease the impact of culture shock. And stories can turn into this insider language, right? And it's something that I think, looking back, we remember fondly. If your parents, for instance, told you bedtime stories, you probably still remember them. You probably still remember what they were about. So it is a way of really strengthening this connection and creating something that is very unique to your family, a kind of story that's very unique. And then if your kids are older, so for instance, we started reading more books and just children's literature, especially during the lockdown. Oh my God, we read countless books, both Austrian and German ones and Spanish ones. And the great thing here is that While you're not making up the story, that's right, but they still transmit language and culture to your children. So if there are children's books from your home country or your spouse's home country, then definitely make sure to read those to them because they will get a better glimpse into that local culture, even if it's from, a while ago. And this is so very important for our kids' sense of identity and belonging, which brings me to my next point. So, number 4 is honoring their roots. I talk a lot about roots and wings, and that's taken from the multicultural parenting model I created a while back, which has really helped to guide me in my parenting. And one of the aspects is that there needs to be a good balance between roots and wings, right? Because in order to be able to spread their wings and fly away, whether that means moving to another country or simply growing up and becoming more independent, they need to know that they have roots, that they have a history, a security blanket in form of their nuclear family, yes, but also in form of their home culture or home cultures if you're also a multicultural family like we are. So as parents, I think it's important to help our children to know, appreciate, and embrace their roots. Ideally, you can spend considerable time in your home country or your home countries so that your children can build relationships, with family members, with other children their age, that they can have local experiences in the local language even if they're not fluent, it doesn't matter. We don't know what the future brings and where it will take our kids eventually, but I think growing roots in their parents' countries of origin is also some sort of backup plan for them. And I know many third culture kids that have, later on when they were grown up, they've chosen to live there or spend a few years there with their extended family, even if their own parents lived somewhere else. So I think that's an opportunity that's very enriching for their lives, and we should not take that from them. And listen, if circumstances don't allow for you to go back home or not very often, or maybe you grew up as a third culture kid as well and you don't really have a clear home base yourself, then let's go back to stories. Nothing beats real life stories, right? Of your childhood, of your family and your ancestors, those little anecdotes that get passed on from generation to generation so that the kids feel like they're part of something bigger. It's not just their nuclear family living on the other side of the globe or, moving around the globe. There are generations of ancestors that came before them and that have shaped them. Because they did, right? And at the very least, through genetics and epigenetics. So I personally believe that regardless of your own relationship to your family or to your home country or to your spouse's home country, for instance, I believe that every child deserves to know where it comes from and should have the possibility to fully embrace their heritage and their identity. All right, so something lighter is point number 5, which is having cultural theme nights. So having family meals, right? That's so important. We all know that. And when we live abroad, we can really spice it up a little, especially in times of COVID where we can't go out much. You could have a theme night of your country of heritage, one of your spouses, if it's not the same, one of the country you're currently living in, or of previous destinations as well. That's just such a beautiful way to celebrate all these different cultures that have shaped our identities as globally mobile families. And this is also a way of accepting and embracing them as part of our identities, which is so important. So to make this even more special, your kids can actually help you prepare the meals. No matter their age, there's always something they can do. And they'll not only enjoy it, but it's also a great way to pass on family traditions or family recipes or, tell stories, some more stories. You can put on national music. You can decorate the table or the home accordingly. You could choose to speak in the language of the country that you're celebrating that night, whatever comes to mind. So this is again a really fun and light way to create a family tradition which brings the family closer, but also to honor our very unique profiles as globally mobile families. Then number 6 is another one of my favorites, and it's a super easy thing you can do. You can do it right away, actually, to strengthen your family culture abroad, and that's multicultural family playlists, or as I like to call it, a family soundtrack. That's the upgraded version of a family playlist, is actually having a family soundtrack. When I was growing up, music was my world, and listening to my favorite songs with others made me feel really connected to them. I don't know if it was the same for you and your family, but I think music is something that we bond over. It's something that we attach memories to, and by listening to certain songs, we'll be able to call up these memories again, even years afterwards, and go, this reminds me of the time we lived in the UK. Remember how we used to go to that place? And, it just takes you down memory lane. I think music is so powerful in achieving that, and in calling up all of these sensations, even smells or feelings sometimes. So you can create a playlist or a soundtrack where each family member gets to choose and add some songs. Different languages and styles very welcome. That will definitely sweeten up those car rides, and it will be a lovely memory to treasure, even in many years' time. And just a little word of advice maybe is to be really open-minded about it, because when each family gets to contribute some songs, well, different styles and different tastes will obviously come together. So if you think that the songs that your teenager picked out are horrible, you may not want to say that. You may not want to share that. Rather, since it is all about growing closer and inviting everyone to contribute to this family soundtrack and to the family culture, maybe you can find one thing you like about the song. Is it the beat? Is it maybe the voice of the singer, the guitar riff? Come on, there must be something that you like. So just focus on that, and remember that music is something that can really bring us closer to each other. All right, and number 7 is celebrate the holidays. When my husband and I got married, that's the advice that we received that I still remember. It's probably the best advice we received, actually. And it was, make the holidays yours. So how can you make the holidays something really unique to your family? First of all, which holidays do you choose to celebrate? It may be a mix of what you were used to growing up and what your partner was used to growing up, and also other beautiful traditions that you encountered and picked up along your international journey. Then think about, how will you celebrate them? What will you do? What will you cook? How will you substitute those ingredients that you can't get, or those decoration items? Come on, we all know this to be true. We cannot always celebrate a holiday, authentically when we move abroad, but maybe we can twerk it around a little bit so that it does become something that we can take with us wherever we go. Again, creating traditions, big or small, is such a beautiful way of strengthening your family culture, especially when you live abroad. So I really encourage you to think about those and create your own holidays. So I hope this has inspired you to take some new steps and maybe reflect a little more about what you can do to create the strong family culture, to bring the family closer together, to create unique traditions that are portable and that represent your unique journeys. Your unique journeys as expats, the countries you've lived in, the cultures that have touched you, the cultures and countries that you grew up in, and your spouse as well. There's so many beautiful pieces that make up this global identity, and honoring them, embracing them, is not just beneficial for the family culture, but it's also on a personal level. It makes each of us, each family member, feel like they are part of something bigger, that they have a place, a really special place inside this family, and that they actually get to enjoy, embrace, and appreciate all those aspects that make up their identity, even when it's so hard for them to grasp it, right? So especially third culture kids, sometimes the question of identity, also for grown-ups, it can be such a tricky thing, but you still always belong to this unique family. You'll always be safe there. That's the message that I want to give my kids. No matter where we go next, no matter where we'll end up one day, no matter what countries they live in, what people they surround themselves with, I always want them to know that they have strong roots. And these roots within our family, within their home cultures or cultures of heritage, that will ultimately enable them to spread their wings and fly. So that's all I wanted to share for today. And now I would love to hear from you. What are things that you are doing in your family to create a strong bond, to create a strong family culture, to honor that uniqueness of your family? Please let me know. Instagram is the place I hang out at the most, I would say. So head over to at coach.camilla.quintana and let me know. Please share some inspiration, because we're all in this together. We're all going through similar things, similar challenges at the end of the day, and we all need to inspire each other. Have a lovely week, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to share this episode with your expat besties and show me some love in the reviews. Want more juicy content designed for expat wives? Then head over to my website, www.camillaquintana.com, or follow me on Instagram and Facebook at coach.camillaquintana.